Good day, University City, and welcome to UC Talks, a hyper-local podcast that features conversations, interviews, and news of importance for University City. My name is Jemma Samala, and I'm the editor of the University City Community Association's newsletter. And this podcast is brought to you by the University City Community Association and made possible through a grant from the County of San Diego. And speaking of which, the county, we have with us Kristin Gaspar, our District 3 San Diego County Supervisor. And so we're just going to get right into it. And the topic we're all concerned about is the COVID-19 pandemic, coronavirus, and how it's affecting us locally, our health, our finances, our children's education. Kristin has kids at home, right?
Sure do.
Yep, and our everyday life. So what is the county doing about everything, really? And when, sometimes I feel we're overwhelmed with resources. So when do we go to the county? When do we go to our city? When do we go to the state, the federal? Maybe you could also help us clarify, where do we get help?
Well, you hear a lot these days, we're all in this together. On a personal note, I want our community to know and understand I'm really in the trenches with you here, so to speak. I do have 3 kids. I have perhaps the toughest population to manage in the household right now. That's the middle schoolers and our high schoolers, really tough age group.
At any time, yeah.
Yep, and they simply don't understand why they can't go see their friends, why they can't go to the places they love, the beaches, the parks, they're all shut down. So it's a really challenging time. And then of course, as parents, we've had to become teachers overnight. And in my household, we also own a business, and it's an essential business right now. So in my home, you have 2 parents who are still working, and it's been really difficult because we can't be at that kitchen table implementing that schooling.
Right.
My kids ultimately will be more resilient. They're going to have to learn to be more independent. So for parents, sometimes you get this false impression if you spend too much time on social media right now with everyone's beautiful family photos and their board games. And I just want to share the message that it's not all sunshine and rainbows in my household, and it's not all perfect. The teachers are doing their best to navigate this new world too. And then of course, as an elected official, I want to make a distinction between what the county's role is during this pandemic and what it is on an ordinary day, because sometimes that's confusing. Right. I find very few people know what we even do as county supervisors. So, I used to serve as the Encinitas mayor, and your focus when you were the mayor is making sure the bones of that city were strong. You were real focused on infrastructure, things like public safety. And so you can think of it that way. When I came to serve as the county supervisor, we're in charge of making sure that people in our communities are strong. And we actually implement all of safety net programs, state, federal programs. We're the implementing body on the local level. So all these things are passed by Congress, passed in Sacramento. These are our responsibilities to implement on the local level. And you can imagine with 22 million Americans applying for unemployment right now, and just this ballooning of needs from, food in your communities, these are all things that we're addressing as county supervisors. So money coming out of Sacramento, DC, some of those relief measures will ultimately cross our desks to distribute back out to the community as well. And of course, we have our public health officer here. That's Dr. Wooten. She's been a lot on these press conferences, the daily press conferences. She's actually the one that is in charge of establishing the public health order. These are the orders that we're under that we know have increased over time. So our role as a county is to protect public health. And so you see a lot of county government these days. Some people ask, well, why do we only see Nathan Fletcher and Greg Cox, our other 2 supervisors? Where are you? Well, we have this little thing called the Brown Act, a law that we have to comply with. And there's a COVID-19 subcommittee built of those 2 supervisors. And we are actually not permitted under the law to influence or interfere with the decision-making by that subcommittee. And so that's where you won't see me participate in the daily pressers, but you see me a lot out there supporting our residents in my district and beyond, and the business community as well.
Right.
And I really need your help. I think that a number of people assume that your elected officials know everything, and trust me, some of your elected officials pretend like they do. That's not me.
Okay.
And what I've discovered through this process is due to the outreach of our communities, our businesses, I've had the ability to work across a lot of sectors right now and hear from people that have unique challenges in the community, business sectors that are having particular challenges. It's really helpful to hear from you. So please communicate early and often with me and your elected officials. There's no time like today to establish that relationship. We have more downtime, so to speak, in so much that we don't have all of our typical community gatherings to go to, and we're real focused on the work. We can do a lot proactively now as a community to prepare us for the eventual end of the pandemic. Right. It's hard to imagine, but we can lay some good groundwork now.
And as far as the businesses, especially like the ones that have been affected the most, like retail and the restaurants, even though most of them are still open for takeout, and other services that are closed completely, where do they go really for help? I mean, I keep hearing the small business, funds are, done with now. For now, they need to get another order from the federal government. Is there like a local, I guess, like hotline or something where people can go, hey, this is what my business is. Which one do I apply for?
Sure. I've been spending a lot of time on this particular issue, working closely with our chambers, for example, on the local level. Your chambers right now, the business chambers, have a lot of information online. Okay. Most every business chamber in San Diego has a link right on their website, and it will point out all of the relief measures. There are relief measures on the local, state, and federal level. Right. I've been coaching some with our businesses too, because I was able to apply for some of the SBA relief and some of the loans that they're offering right now. I know they're out of resources, but I also have had the ability to participate in the White House briefing calls, and there are more resources on the way. I know that the most challenging thing right now for a business is cash on hand. I've been in that situation. How long can we keep our employees paid? How long can we pay for their medical insurance? What I'm seeing is a lot of cooperation across levels of government and all sorts of agencies. For example, on your local level, we put down relief measures to make sure that evictions are suspended right now. That's both commercial and residential. On the federal level, they laid down a relief measure that in the event that you rely on that income renting out your commercial spaces or your residence, that you're protected with your own mortgage. So that's how some levels of government have worked together. But all sorts of people are stepping up to the plate. Your utility companies right now, you can proactively go on a payment plan to smooth out costs over time. They're working aggressively to get rid of the peak rate schedule, since they recognize more people are home and using electricity all hours of the day. So they're working aggressively on that relief. If you need internet access right now, you're a low-income individual, some great news coming out of organizations like Cox Communications. They're offering free internet for several months to make sure that San Diegans stay connected. I know that our commercial landlords have been real gracious too. People want you to be able to stay in your lease agreements. The main thing is to make sure that you're communicating with all of your vendors, if you're a business, or if you're a resident, communicating with your landlords. People are very patient right now and doing everything they can to make sure we protect San Diegans. We've done a lot of proactive work. We have to continue that. So more reliefs on the way. I want to point to, though, even the businesses open, for example, our restaurants locally. It's pretty surprising to learn from the California Restaurant Association local chapter here in San Diego that 60% of our restaurants have closed their doors right now.
Wow.
That's a lot of closure happening. And even for the restaurants who have their doors open, they're really struggling to survive on that takeout structure and certainly their workforce has not sustained itself. We have so many restaurant workers laid off right now. I think it's close to 1.5 million furloughed restaurant workers in the state of California. So it's a real struggle, and they want to get back to business as usual, but please recognize that it's going to take tremendous strength to reopen these doors. And I wish I could always provide the nice smile, that political cheesy smile and sunshine and rainbows, but I'm going to be honest with our community about the reality of us getting back to normal by May 1st.
Right.
That simply isn't going to happen. And earliest I can anticipate seeing some pushback or pullback on the restrictions, for example, it's probably closer to June. Okay. And so the reason that I make that statement is not that I'm I can read through a crystal ball or something, and I hope I'm wrong and it's sooner, but I want people to prepare. But I also want you to know that there's a community of support around you. We still have a lot of strength in our vibrant nonprofits locally. Nobody should be hungry through this. Right. Nobody should be suffering. We have resources. The county has 211. If you're in any situation whatsoever and you don't know who to turn to, which organization, in San Diego, we have a one-stop shop. You pick up your phone, you dial 211. You let them know the issue, and they instantly can connect you to hundreds of resources in the San Diego area. So perhaps the most important phone number right now is 211. And then if you're a business owner, SD Business Chamber has on their website a robust collection of resources updated daily. So sdbusinesschamber.com is another great place to visit if you're a business owner. And then reach out to me as well. I have an extensive PowerPoint presentation that compares the various SBA loans. Okay. It also talks about some of the grant opportunities, disaster loans that are out there, and I'm happy to share that. And also maybe tailor it to your business question or concern based on how many employees you have and what your immediate needs are versus your long-term needs. I'm happy to take those calls and emails as well.
Yeah, I'll make sure to reach out and get that PowerPoint link, and we could put that on our University City News website also. And so, fantastic. Yeah, because I think that's where there's a lot of questions as far as on the business end for small businesses. It's where do we?
I've had to learn going through it too. So I'm happy to take my trial and error and save somebody else the time, because I finally signed loan documents with the SBA, and I was really grateful for that, because you think about your business, and we have a physical therapy company, and prior to a month ago, we were doing quite well, and I have 150 employees that are counting on me to keep my doors open. And so to think of something that my husband and I have built over several decades could go away overnight, we've done nothing but lose sleep over it, because we understand that behind our 150 employees are hundreds more. They're families that are counting on us to keep our doors open, or for businesses that are closed to reopen them. I feel that sense of urgency because it impacts me personally. Yeah. And of course, as a parent, oh my goodness, these kids need to go back to school.
Oh, luckily my kids are college age, so they're actually seem fine having their classes,
Of course, yes, and they probably can manage themselves. Better.
So that's the one thing. So everybody's stressed out. You got kids at home. You're trying to figure out how you're going to pay the bills. What's going to happen in the future, and obviously that creates a lot of mental stress. And so, as far as mental health, what kind of resources are there, for the county, for the city, that are available out there? Do we call 211 also? Do people do that?
You can, but the county's website is robust as well. So if you go to San Diego County's website, there's a whole section on behavioral health, and behavioral health services lists all sorts of resources for telehealth right now, geared for young people to adults. And so there are a lot of resources available, and this is an area that's near and dear to my heart. I work a lot with the recovery community, people who have battled with addiction, for example. This pandemic is not at all helpful. It's
Oh,
quite opposite of what you need when you're going through recovery. You need to be surrounded by people. You need to be social and not be a recluse at home. But
right.
that's exactly what's being asked of us. So I really worry about those who are struggling to maintain their sobriety. I'm hopeful that they take advantage of a lot of what's happening now via Zoom meetings.
Mm-hmm.
I know that locally, our chapters that are implementing AA services, you could be on one of those support groups nearly every hour of the day.
Mm-hmm.
So there are robust opportunities to engage on, unfortunately, the internet platforms, which are less than ideal, but better than nothing. I'm
Right.
real worried about depression as well,
Mm-hmm.
especially with our young people. I've received word that perhaps we've lost 2 more teens locally to suicide in recent weeks. So I want to make sure that people understand there are resources. They may look a little different than they did, before, but telehealth is real popular right now.
Okay.
We're able to provide those services, whether you are no income, low income, there are opportunities available. Income is not a barrier. Health insurance, not a barrier. We have resources for you. But I think one way that we can all be helpful in this equation, whether you're suffering from mental illness, depression, whether you're on a path to recovery, we need to connect with one another during this time. And maybe not the same people that you call all the time. Maybe dig a little bit deeper and reach out to someone that you haven't talked to in a while, and make the time every day to reach out to someone to brighten their day somehow. I
Mm-hmm.
know a lot of our local neighbors have gotten involved in neighborhood wellness checks for our seniors.
That's
That
good.
can be done, set up via phone, text, or some of my neighbors are just yelling through the door. Whatever it might be, let's make sure that we take care of our senior population.
Mm-hmm.
If you're looking to volunteer, the 2 places we need you the most, the San Diego Food Bank, we went from 400,000 food insecure San Diegans to now 600,000 food insecure San Diegans.
Mm-hmm.
No one should go hungry. We have food. If you need food, these pop-up these pop-up events where we are doing food distributions,
Mm-hmm.
no questions asked. You're not bringing your pay stub. You literally sit in the line, you open your trunk, they put a box inside for you. So no excuses, but we need volunteers to put those boxes inside those cars. So if you are someone that is looking to get out of the house and serve others,
Mm-hmm.
San Diego Food Bank, please go online. They have volunteer opportunities as well as opportunities to donate.
Uh-huh.
So that's one way. And then the other critical shortage right now is blood. San Diego Blood Bank, if you can give blood right now, please give blood right now. They have critical shortage. Most of their blood collection, are out in the mobile units,
Right.
and that's not happening now.
Mm-hmm.
So we're relying on individuals to step forward. So if you can be helpful there.
Yeah.
Another organization locally I've been supporting is Kitchens for Good. There are a number of people that the food donations by themselves won't be enough, especially with our senior population. They really need ready-to-go meals, ones they can pop in the microwave.
Mm-hmm.
Kitchens for Good has been really working hard around the clock to produce ready-to-go meals. I know that they can do even more with some additional financial support. So if you're in a place where you're looking for a local charity to give to,
Mm-hmm.
that would be really helpful, because Meals on Wheels locally is overwhelmed right now.
Yeah.
There's so much need, and they only have so many people to go around. So please help us with those efforts as well.
Mm-hmm. That's good. And I know a lot of people are also helping our healthcare workers too, our frontline workers. We've got a local restaurant, Spitfire tacos, that are donating to a lot of the hospitals. And I know that you worked with, I think it's Jerome's, to donate mattresses too. So how can people who can give, like those kind of businesses, how can they keep supporting our healthcare workers and whoever else needs it?
That's a great question. And please, if you have any interest in making donations, you can reach out via email to me. I've received a number of those. I've gone out and asked for specific items. So the mattresses you referred to, we at UCSD wanted to set up an alternative care location. You hear a lot about the importance of not overwhelming the healthcare system. Well, locally, we knew that the hospitals needed to be the place where we took the most severe cases, and we needed to shift people out that still needed medical care, not for COVID, but for other things. And so UCSD allowed us to come in and use their student housing for this purpose. We were granted 350 rooms, and we just needed to quickly get them up and running. So Jerome's so gracious, they stepped up. They gave me our first 100 beds. Now this alternative care site has doctors and nurses living there on site, so they needed a place to sleep too. So very thankful to Jerome's. Shortly after, we had Mattress Firm donate the next 100, the next 150 by CERTA. And we've gotten a lot of local restaurants stepping up to the plate. Beautiful tacos you spoke of, and then Phil's Barbecue's been out there as well quite a bit. So we need to take care of our first responders as well. I know there's been some activity with taking care of our first responders and all of this.
Yeah.
We can basically, if you have a donation that you'd like to make, or you have a local organization that wants to get involved, we can help guide you to a place that maybe hasn't gotten frequent visitors or support. So please reach out and we can help tailor that. The convention center has been a popular place to submit donations. That's where we're housing a number of those that were in our shelter systems, homeless. The convention center is getting a lot of attention, and we've gotten a ton of donations. They actually have an entire donation page if you want to give to the convention center. But my ask to the community has been not to forget about North County, because in North County, we don't have a convention center, and we currently don't have the needs being met of the unsheltered in North County. They're working on developing a plan. Until they do, I could use some of our residents coming up with care kits, hygiene kits for those who are unsheltered in our communities. So you'll see me pushing in that effort in the coming weeks.
And what would be in those care kits?
So the care kits, there's some great ideas online for a typical hygiene kit. The coveted and well sought after hand sanitizer is one piece, but you can be creative too in procuring that hand sanitizer, because we have local organizations that are donating in strange ways. These are breweries, for example, or distilleries that have come forward. And locally, Screwball Whiskey, for example, they're an OB company. They started producing hand sanitizer. So that needs to go into those kits. Often you'll see things like baby wipes or hand wipes in those kits, a pair of socks, some sort of sustainable granola bars or food item in there as well. I've seen people put in gift cards to places like Subway sandwiches so that they can get something to eat as well. When you think about it, there's a number of individuals on the streets that were using panhandling as their primary way to get through the day. And it's not happening with the stay-at-home orders as much. So hunger becomes an issue. But we've also seen the ability to build some trust right now with the unsheltered. Our goal is to ultimately transition people into a shelter environment and get them strengthened and uplifted from there. So a lot of ways the community can get involved, even if they're at home, and we would be happy to link people to those opportunities.
Alrighty. And what would be the best way to contact your office? Phone number, email?
Sure. So email is probably the quickest way. So you can email me at Kristin, Kristin, .Gaspar, Gaspar, at sdcounty.ca.gov. And then my phone number is 619-531-5533. So phone, email, please reach out and take care of one another. You know, as a community, we're perfectly poised to do this. We talk a lot at the county about Live Well San Diego, the recognition years ago that we believe fundamentally that everyone should be able to lead a healthy, safe, thriving life in San Diego. And the government can't solve complex challenges alone, that we're going to have to rely back on our community, our faith-based community, our local organizations, our nonprofits, community members to help us with this effort. There's no time like today for us to take a crisis that we're under and become more resilient and stronger than ever together as a community. And I'm very pleased to report that so many people have been gracious during a time of struggle. Even some of the industries hit the hardest are really gracious. And one final thing I do want to point to, if you have any licensure at all, if you are a medical professional, whether it be an optometrist, a dentist, a nurse, also some of our students, if you're in the process of receiving a degree as well in the medical field, we need you to register locally. A number of people are out of work right now in the medical community because we've canceled elective surgeries, because the emergency rooms are pretty bare. But we may need you should we see a sudden surge in the healthcare system. So I'm encouraging people today to visit the San Diego County Medical Society website. On there, there's a link where you can be part of a registry. When we run short on healthcare providers at some of these alternative care sites, we would like to have people ready to go, willing to work in these situations. So calling on anyone in the medical field to go to San Diego County Medical Society's website and register there.
And one last question. So can, back to that point where you need volunteers to help with that are licensed medical care workers or their students, what about people who don't have any training in that field? Is there any kind of volunteering for the hospitals in a non-healthcare background way?
Sure. I think that on the website itself, when you enter on that registry, it will ask you a little bit about your background, and you can register as a volunteer if you're interested in assisting. I know that in a lot of our facilities, before you enter, you're having to do like temperature screenings and things of that nature. It doesn't require you to be an RN in order to do something of that nature. So I know there are opportunities that are out there as well. Again, we can link people to service. The state of California has some registries too on their website. Just keep in mind that if you register on California's website, they can call you for any part of California, which you may or may not do. It just depends. You're handing out your information more broadly in that sense. So that's where I've tried to guide people on the more local level, and have found that San Diego County Medical Society kind of keeps people hyper local. Too, I want to stress that we need to keep our medical workers here in San Diego too. We've tried to figure out how to make sure we don't exceed capacity in our system, and that we have providers here that are ready to go. So I tend to keep it on the local level.
That's true. All right. Well, thank you for joining us. I know really, we probably could have talked about a lot more. There's a lot of other things going on, and I'm sure we'll touch back with you again in the future.
Happy to come back. You know, things move at a rapid pace. We're going to need to revisit probably again when we start lifting some of the public health orders. How do we rebuild? You know, we can be proactive about thinking about those things now. The governor pointed out we won't be back to quote unquote normal, but what is that new normal that we'll have to adopt in the interim, and what does it mean for our residents, and how do we implement these things in San Diego? So thanks for the opportunity to address the community. Stay safe, everyone. And please, if you need to call and vent, cry, whatever it is, please reach out. I'll vent right alongside you, believe me. And you know, politics won't kill me, but my kids might.
And I will say, I think a lot more people have been on Facebook lately that's how we're all staying social with each other.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks again to Supervisor Gaspar for joining me today for our UC Talks podcast. Our first time doing it via Zoom. So, you know, if there was any technical stuff, that's why we're still learning all this Zoom meeting stuff. So, and once again, this podcast is brought to you by the University City Community Association and made possible through a grant from the County of San Diego. Thank you. And more information about UCCA, including membership, To view our monthly newsletter, go to our website at universitycitynews.org, and remember to follow UCCA on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And thanks again. Have a great day, everyone. And remember, University City is more than just a neighborhood.